file, right? Okay, so in today's so in last few classes we were discussing about the normal stresses in the beams, shear stress in the beams. So that is regarding the that is regarding just the stress distribution. Today's class we will discuss about the deflections in the beams. So when these beams are subjected to either concentrated load or a distributed load, by how much amount they deflect in that direction. So first I will introduce the relationship between curvature and the bending moment, and after that I will discuss about the equation of the deflected curve. So we can write a in terms of a coordinate system, we can find the deflection y of x. Then we can relate that second derivative of y with the curvature, and then we can relate them with the moment apply at that location. So then we will solve the differential equation, and then we can apply the boundary conditions and solve for the those boundary conditions. Apply the boundary conditions and solve for the unknown constants. So then we can we'll solve some examples where we'll solve two examples, and then we will discuss about beam subjected to distributed load, how to start with the how to write a differential equation relating the distributed load with the deflection y. So again we'll solve one example on that. So basically we have here a beam, cantilever beam, free at one end and fixed at the other end. It is subjected to a point load at the free end. So we have already found the relationship between the curvature of this line, that is a neutral surface, and the bending moment. So 1 by rho is equal to m of x by ei. So ei is the flexural rigidity, m of x is the bending moment occurring at that section. So suppose you take a section here and you draw the free body diagram for the left portion. So we have the force P, and at it and we have that internal forces V, and then internal moment m of x. So this is a positive sign convention, so V is down here and m of x is in the clockwise direction on the right surface. So we can get V is equal to P by applying the force equilibrium in the y direction, and we can get m of x is equal to P of x. So this m of x is P of x, so it is 0 here at A, and as you move towards B, it will keep increasing and reach a value of PL. So if you apply if you want to calculate the curvature A, substitute instead of m of 0, which is 0, so 1 by rho of A is 0. So at this point, we have 1 by rho A is 0, that is rho A tends to infinity. So here the radius, if you want to draw a circle at this point, the circle center of the circle will be lying at infinity. And if you want to, you can calculate what is the curvature at B. So we can substitute MB is equal to PL by A, and 1 by rho B is PL by A. So here we will have a positive curvature, and we can find that rho B value by taking the reciprocal of this value. Okay, so the main thing is that we can relate the radius of curvature rho with the bending moment and the flexural rigidity. Okay, so here what is happening if you have positive bending moment? This is a sagging. This beam is a sagging. It's sagging. So it is a positive bending moment is there. So the curvature, the center of curvature is lying above the neutral surface. So, but if it is hogging, that means bending moment is negative, then the center of that curvature will lie below. So let's look at another problem here. So we have a beam with a overhang, and AB, BC, and CD are equal to 3 meters, and a point load is applied at B, and point load is applied also at D. So what we can do, we can draw the shear force diagram, bending moment diagram, and then we can sketch the deflected shape just qualitatively. We will not know the values since we'll just look at it in a qualitative manner. So first thing is we can find the reaction at B. So what is the reaction at B? So we can find the bending moment about A, total moment about A. So 4 and 2 will produce a clockwise moment, and RB will produce a anti-clockwise moment. So the moment produced by 4 and 2 will be 4 into 3 plus 2 into 9. So that is the anti-clockwise moment, and RB into 6 will be the clockwise moment. So we divide by 6, so we'll get 30 by 6, which is 5. Okay, so net downward force is 6, so net upward force will also be 6. So here it is 5, so RA will be 1. So with this information, we can draw the shear force diagram. So at A, we'll jump by 1 unit, that is equal to RA. and then between A to B there is no distributed load, so the shear will not change. And at B there is a point load 4 acting in the downward direction, so there is a jump downward. So from 1 it will 1 by -4 it will be -3, so it will go into negative shear. So from B to C again there is no distributed load, so it will remain constant. And at C there is a reaction. Sorry, this is B, right? This is C and this is B. Okay. So and at B there is a reaction, so there will be a jump. But that reaction is, it will jump by 5 units, so it will go from -3 to +2. And from C to D again there is no distributed load, so it will be constant. And then from point load downward, so 2 kilonewton, it will go downward. So this is the shear force diagram. And once we know the shear force, we can from the shear force we can get the bending moment. So at A and C, the bending moment is 0 at the support. So sorry, at A and C the bending moments are 0. Yeah. So we can calculate the change in bending moment between B and here it is B and A. So MB minus MA will be the area under the shear force diagram. So the area will be 1 into 3 units. So MB minus MA is 3. We know MA is 0, so MB will be +3. And the slope of the bending moment diagram, dm by dx is equal to V. So V is constant here, so the slope is constant. So we can start from a point 0 up and then move to point B, which is located at 3. So we can draw a straight line. And then from B to C again there is an A2 bending moment. That means there is an A2 shear force. That means there is a reduction in bending moment. So MC minus MB, that value will be -3 into BC, which is -3 into 3, which is -9. So we will get MC value as -9 plus 3, which is -6. Okay, so what happened is from B, which is we have a bending moment +3, and at C we have bending moment -6. So we can join this these 2 points by a straight line. Why? Because the slope is constant. And what happens between C and D? Again, there is a constant slope, and we know MD is 0. So what we can do, we can join -6 with this 0 at D. So we'll again get with a straight line, and we get the complete bending moment diagram. We can do a check. What is the change in bending moment between C and D? So MD minus MC is 0 minus -6. So it will be +6. And what is the area under the shear force diagram between C and D? It will be 2 into 3. So area under the shear force diagram is 2 into 3, which is 6. So again, this MD minus MC is equal to integral C to D VDX. So that is again satisfied. So our check is okay. So yeah, so we have here the bending moment diagram. So this bending moment at B is 3 and at C it is -6. So if we join that straight line, this straight line intersects the this axis at E. So we can find the value of B. It will be some 3 into 1 by 3. So it will be 1 unit, and EC will be 2 units. So what is happening is between A to E, it is having a positive bending moment. So when you say positive bending moment, that means it has a positive curvature. That is it will be sagging A to E, and from E to D it is hogging. So it will have a negative curvature there. So we can sketch the bending moment, sketch the deflected shape. So we can sketch it like this. The red color up to point E, this will be sagging. So here the d square y by dx square is positive, and from E to D there is a negative bending moment, so it start to hog. So that is sketched here, and there will be a change in d square y by dx square at this point. So it will go from a positive value to a negative value. So d square y by dx square at E is 0. So that is what we have for the deflected shape. So although we can know qualitatively the deflected shape, we don't know exactly what is the value of these deflections. So to do that, we need to do some geometric, we need to relate the curvature with the geometry. So we'll do that here. So first thing is, this is the deflected shape. This is the initial undeformed shape. So the deflection measured from the undeformed configuration, we are giving it as we are denoting by y of x. So for any point Q, which is denoted by any point Q which is located at x comma y comma x. Okay, so that is a coordinate of Q, and we can take a slope at this point. It will be dy by dx. Okay, dy by dx will be tan theta x. But if dy by dx is very small, you can write it as theta of x. So theta of x will be in radians. So in that scenario, we can write dy by dx is theta of x. So one thing we know is at point Q, we can find the curvature and relate. So the curvature is rho and relate it with the deflection y. So that relation is given here. 1 by rho is equal to d square y by dx square by 1 plus dy by dx square whole power 3 by 2. So d square y by dx square is the second derivative of y of x, and dy by dx is the first derivative of y of x. So if dy by dx is very small, that is it has a very negligible value compared to 1, then dy by dx square we can treat it as approximately 0. So in that case, what will happen? The denominator will have 1 plus this term will approximating it to 0. So this term entire denominator will be 1. So we're left with this equation: 1 by rho is equal to d square y by dx square. Okay, so this is the relation between the curvature and the deflected shape. So this is a differential equation, and what we have, so what we can do, we can replace 1 by rho with m by ei. So we'll get this equation: d square by dx square is equal to m of x by ei. So here the highest order of the differential is 2. So it is a second order differential equation, and usually if the beam has varying depth, that means this depth quantity is varying with x, then ei will be a function of x, and so ei will not be a constant. So we have to take ei of x. Okay, so then we have to solve for the we can do the integral and find the y value. Usually when you deal with prismatic beams, the depth is constant, and ei is also constant. The flexibility is constant. So in that case, what we can do, we can move ei to the left hand side, and we get this differential equation: ei d square y by dx square is equal to m of x. So how to solve this equation? We know the m of x from the free body diagram. So we draw the free body diagram of that car section, and we can find the m of x. So once we know m of x, we just have to integrate it. So we'll do the first integration. So we'll get ei dy by dx, that is equal to integral 0 to x m of x dx plus some constant. So this is a integration constant, and if you do what we can do, we can replace this dy by dx with theta. So we have done that here. So dy by dx is tan theta for small angles. That is when dy by dx is less than 1, negligible compared to 1, then we can have theta of x. So what we are having here, we are replacing dy by dx with theta of x. So ei theta of x is equal to integral 0 to x m of x dx plus c1. So small digression I'm doing it. What I'm doing is, when I say dy by dx, on the left hand side we are taking it like a improper integral, but on the right hand side we're doing a definite integral. So right hand side we are taking 0 to x, but on the left hand side we're not doing any there is no limits from 0 to x like that. So what we'll do is we'll take a limit from 0 to x on the left hand side also. So what will happen here? So when you do this integration for ei d square by dx square is equal to m of x, so I'm taking limits from 0 to x on the left hand side and 0 to x on the right hand side. So what will happen is we'll get ei dy by dx at x minus dy by dx at x is equal to 0. That is equal to integral m of x dx. So what is dy by dx at x? It is theta of x, and dy by dx at 0, it will be theta of 0. Okay, so theta of x minus theta of 0. So what we can do, we can send theta of 0 to the right hand side. So if you compare this equation with this equation, we'll get the relation that c1 is equal to ei of theta of 0. Okay, so that constant is ei times that theta of 0. Okay. So but anyway, we'll just a digression from the main derivation. So we'll again come back to this derivation here. So what we will do here, we have this equation ei first derivative of y. So what we'll do, we'll integrate it one more time. So we'll have ei y is equal to, we'll integrate this entire term with respect to dx. So this entire term, integral 0 to x m of x dx plus c1, we're integrating it with respect to dx. So again the limits will be 0 to x. So when you're doing it, we are getting the second constant too. So this is the second integration constant. So what we can do, we'll take c1 dx, integral 0 to x as c1x, and c2 will be there, c2. And here we have to do it integration twice. So 0 to x m of x dx, and again we'll integrating 0 to x that entire function times dx. Okay, so this is the final form for the deflection. So eiy is equal to this entire term. So we see that there are two constants c1 and c2 which are unknowns. Okay, so this is a general solution, and we have to find what is the value of c1 and c2 to get that particular general solution. Yeah, we have to find c1 and c2 to get the correct deflection to measure the deflection. So how do you find the c1 and c2? We need how many equations? We need two equations. So we need actually two boundary conditions. So let's look at the boundary conditions. Suppose we have a simply supported beam, and the beam is subjected to some distributed load, so the beam will deflect in this fashion. So what is happening here at A, and at A there is no deflection, that is there is no movement of this point in the y direction, and also at B there is no deflection in the y direction. So what we can have is y of A, or y A is 0, and here B, yb is 0. That means y of x is equal to 0 is 0, y at x is equal to L is 0. So similarly, we can look at this overhang beam. So at point A and point B, there are these supports. So they prevent the movement in the y direction. So we have ya is 0 there, and yb also is 0. So y at x is equal to 0 is 0, y at x is equal to L is 0. And here we have a cantilever beam and fixed at A and free at B. So what is happening here? The translation is prevented and rotation is prevented at A. So translation means x and y, it is there is no motion, and theta also there is no rotation. So what will happen here? The y at A is 0, and also since there is no rotation, theta at A is 0. So this is the boundary conditions. So apply those two boundary conditions, we can solve for these two unknown constants c1 and c2. Okay, so let's do that through the simple example. We have this cantilever beam of span L, and it is subject to a vertical load P at the free end. So we'll draw the we'll cut a section at a distance x, and we draw the free body diagram for the left part. So on the left right surface, we have shear force V in the downward direction and m of x in the anti-clockwise direction, which is a positive sign convention. So V value will be minus P, and m of x plus Px is 0. So m of x will be minus Px. So net clockwise movement about this section is m of x plus Px. So m of x is minus Px. So we have found the bending moment as a function of x. Okay, so what we will do, we can write m of x is minus p of x. So we replace m, we can apply the differential equation. Here d square by dx square is m of x, so it will be minus px. So first thing we'll integrate it once. So we have e divided by dx is minus px square by 2, x dx is x square by 2, and we have that constant c1. Okay, so what we will do here, we know the deflection at B, rotation at B is 0, and also the deflection at B is 0. So here EA dy by dx. So dy by dx is actually rotation, EA theta of x. So we can apply that condition that theta b is 0. So that condition is theta b is equal to theta at x is equal to L. That means dy by dx at x is equal to L is 0. So here we substitute at x is equal to L means PL square by 2 plus minus PL square by 2 plus C1. So we have 0 is equal to minus PL square by 2 plus C1, and we get C1 is PL square by 2. So we have found the first constant by applying that first boundary condition. So we directly substitute that C1 value here, and we will get EI dy by dx is minus PL square by 2 plus PL square by 2, PX square by 2 plus PL square by 2. Now what we will do, we will again integrate it one more time. So we will have EAY. So when you do this integral, you will get y, and here x square will be x cube by 3. So because already there is a 2, we will get x cube by 6, and L square by 2 integral dx will be x, and we have the second integration constant plus c2. So how to find the second integration constant? So we are having the expression for y here, and we know the second boundary condition is yb is equal to 0. So yb means y of L is 0. So we substitute L in this expression, and we get minus PL cube by 6 plus PL square by 2 into L plus C2. So what will happen? C2 is equal to PL cube 1 by 6 minus 1 by 2. So 1 minus 3 by 6. So minus 2 by 6. It will be minus 1. C2 is will be minus PL cube by 3. So we get the value for deflection y. So EIY is equal to minus PS cube by 6 plus PL square by 2x minus PL cube by 3. So what you can do, we can send that EI to the right hand side. So and take 6 common. So P by 6 EI and will be minus 6 minus x cube and plus 3L square x minus 2L cube. Okay, so this is the final expression for deflection. And what we can, we can find the deflection at A, the free end. So what will be the deflection here? So deflection here we'll have to substitute x is equal to 0, and we can also find what is the rotation which is happening here. So that substitute instead of theta we have to find theta of 0. So that thing will do. So if substitute x is equal to 0, the first two terms will vanish and we'll get 2L cube by 6EI. So it will be PL cube by 3EI. And minus sign indicates that the deflection is in the downward direction. Since the y-axis is in the positive direction, the deflection is in the downward direction. So and rotation at A, we have dy by dx at x is equal to 0. So we already have this value, dy by dx is equal to dy by dx is ps square by 2 plus vl square by 2. So x is 0 means we get pl square by 2. So finally we have theta at A is pl square by 2ei. So these two things are the deflection, but this is the maximum deflection which is occurring. So the maximum deflection and maximum rotation is occurring at point A, and as you move towards point B, it is going to 0, the deflection and the rotations. Okay, so this is the application of that differential equation. And, yeah. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll solve one more example. I will take one small break and come back. So are you able to hear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Okay, so in this example, we are looking at a simply supported beam subjected to a uniform distributed load. So the distributed load is W, that is W Newton per meter or W pound per feet, like that. So it is constant. So we want to find what is the equation of the deflected shape. So first thing we'll do, we'll have to find the bending moment m of x. So we'll cut a section at a distance x, and we'll find the m of x. So here this length is x, and so the reaction here coming at A and B is WL by 2 and WL by 2. So that reaction is shown here, WL by 2. And on the right surface, we have that shear force V acting in the downward direction, and m of x, which is shown in the anti-clockwise direction. But that is a positive sign convention. And W distributed load will resolve it into a single force, and that value will be Wx, and it is located at a distance of x by 2. So it is at the midpoint. So it is at a distance of x by 2 from this right surface, or x by 2 from the left surface. So then we'll apply a moment equilibrium about this right surface. So WL by 2 into x, that will be the anti-clock, that will be the clockwise moment, and Wx into x by 2 plus m of x, that will be the clockwise moment. So WL by 2 into x is equal to Wx into x by 2 plus m of x. So you can send Wx square by 2 to the left hand side, and we'll get Wlx by WLx by 2 minus Wx square by 2. So that is the differential, that is the bending moment as a function of x. Okay, so maybe before going, yeah. So we'll just substitute those values and see. Yeah. So m of x is WL by 2 x minus WL square by 2. So we already have that equation, E d square by dx square is m of x. So we are substituting instead of m of x, E d square by dx square, and we have that right hand side same. So first we'll do the integration once. So we'll have E divided by dx, and x will become x dx is x square by 2. So WL x square by 4 will be cube by 6, so s cube by 3, and already 2 is there, so s cube by 6, and we have our first integration constant c1. So if you integrate it one more time, we'll get EAY, and x square will be x cube by 3, so x cube by 12, and x cube will be x power 4 by 4, so x power 4 by 6 into 4, which is 24, c1x plus c2. So we have the equation for the difflected shape, and we have two unknowns, c1 and c2. So we have to find the two unknowns. So we have to apply our boundary conditions. So we need two boundary conditions. So if you look at this figure, the supports restrain the beam from deflecting in the y direction. So ya is 0 and yb is 0 there. So y of x is equal to 0 is 0, y of x is equal to l is 0. So we apply the first boundary condition, ya, that is y of 0 is 0. So these first three terms will vanish and will be left with c2. So c2 is 0, and substitute y is equal to l. So 0 is equal to wl into l cube by 12 minus wl power 4 by 24 plus c1l. So what we'll get, we can send our we can send these two terms to the other side, and we'll get wl cube into 1 by 24 minus 1 by 12. So l and l power 4 will be l cube. So 1 by 24 minus 2 by 24 will be minus 1 by 24. So c1 is minus wl cube by 24. So what we'll have is we'll substitute the instead of c1 wl cube by 24. So we'll get wl cube by 24x. So we can take w. So we can write y in terms of this fractional rigidity and this term. So we have w by, we'll take 24 EA common, and what we'll have here, so we'll have minus x power 4 minus l cube x 2 l x cube. Okay, so that is the deflected shape, and the maximum value will occur at the center. Why it occurs at the center? If you look at this shear force diagram, it will be positive here and E2 in the left hand at B, positive at A, and it will be 0 at the center. So V is 0 at the center, and we know V is equal to dm by dx. Sorry, V is equal to dm by dx. So dm by dx is 0 at the center. So we have the maximum bending moment at the center. Maximum bending moment at the center. So what it means is that it means is maximum at the center means dm by dx is 0 at that center. Okay, so when dm by dx is 0 at the center, I don't know, what is maximum? Or else you have to just do a differential, you just differentiate this, dy by dx is 0, and find the value, you will get the value x is equal to l by 2. Okay, so the maximum deflection will occur at the center. So if you substitute l by 2 here, so l by 2 whole cubes, l cube by 8, and l by 2 power 4, which is l power 4 by 16, and it will be l by 2 here. So 2l into l cube by 8 minus l power 4 by 16 minus l power 4 by 2. So 1 by 4 minus 1 by 16 minus 1 by 2, and what we can do, we can multiply first term with 4, second term will remain same, and third term with 8. So the common denominator will be 16, and 4 minus 1 minus 8. So 9 minus 4 is minus 5. So minus 5 wl power 4 by 24 into 16 is 384 EI. So that is the maximum deflection which is occurring at the center. Okay, so this regarding this deflection of this beam, simply supported beam subjected to the uniformly distributed load. So usually in codes there will be some specifications for the maximum deflections. So they will say that the maximum deflection should not exceed some span length by 120 or span length by 100, something like that. There will be some constraints on the maximum deflection. So what you will do, you will calculate the maximum deflections and then compare with that codal limit, so that the design, when you design, you have to see that doesn't exceed it. So how do you reduce the deflection? So what you can do, you can increase the flexural rigidity. So if you I value you can increase, or the Young's modulus of the material you can increase. So what will happen is the deflection will reduce. The other thing is you can reduce the span. If you reduce the span, the deflections will reduce. So you can either increase the flexural rigidity and reduce the deflection, or you can decrease the span and reduce the reflection. Okay, so this is a simple example, and we will go to another example where we have a beam, simply supported beam, subjected to a point load P at the center. So the point load is acting at a distance of L by 4 from the left edge. So it will be 3 L by 4 from the right edge. So we can find the bending moment between A to the main thing about this problem is that between A to this point, the point of application AC, there will be one bending moment m of x value, and between C to B there will be different bending moment m2 of x. So if you want to do an integration, we have to for the deflection want to do the integration to find the deflected shape. So between A to C we have to apply one set of equations, and between C to B we have to apply another set of equations. So when you do that, so from A to C we'll get two integration constants, and that between C to B we'll get another two set of integration constants. So there will be 4 integration constants. So how to find those 4 unknowns? So we'll do that in this example. So first thing is we'll first find the bending moment between A to C. So between x lies between 0 and L by 4. So we'll cut a section. So we have the reaction here will be 3p by 4. How is it 3p by 4? So we can take bending moment about B. So P into 3L by 4. That will be balanced by Ra into L. So it will be 3p by 4. And what we can do, yeah, on the right surface we have V downward and m of x in the anti-clockwise direction. So m of x will be 3p by 4 into x. Okay, so now we'll find what is the bending moment between C to B. So we cut a section there. So now the point load will come into picture. So the total distance is x. Distance between the point load P and that right section is x minus L by 4. So we'll find out what is the anti-clockwise movement and clockwise movement. So about this surface. So clockwise movement will be P into x minus L by 4 and plus m of x. So that is the anti-clockwise movement, and clockwise movement is 3p by 4 into x. So that is what is shown here. So we can send px minus pl by 4 to the right hand side. So we'll have minus px by 4 and 3p by 4. Oh, sorry, minus px by 4. Oh, sorry, minus px plus 3p by 4x. So it will be minus px by 4, and pl by 4 minus pl by 4 will become pl by 4. So this is the bending moment between when x lies between L by 4 and L. So for this part A to C we'll have deflection y1, and from C to B we'll have deflection y2. So let's do that. So EI d square y1 by dx square is equal to m of x, m1 of x you can say. So that is between 0 to L by 4. So that is 3p by 4x. So what we can integrate it. So we'll get EI dy y1 by dx is x will become x square by 2. So 3p x square by 8, and we have our first integration constant c1, and we integrate it again. So we'll have EI y1 and x cube by 3, and 3 will cancel out. We have ps cube by 8, and we have c1x plus c2. So this is the deflected curve between point A to C. Now we'll find deflected curve between C to B. We'll denote that curve by y2. So we have EI d square y by dx square, dy2 square by dx square is minus px by 4 plus pl by 4. So when you integrate it once, we have x square by 2. So 4 into 2 will become 8, and plx by 4, and we have integration constant c3, and we integrate it one more time. So EI y2 and x square dx will be x cube by 3. So it will become x square by 24, and x dx will be x square by 2. So plx square by 8. C3 dx integral will be c3x and plus c4. That is the fourth integration constant. So we have total 4 integration constants: c1, c2, c3, c4. So how to find those 4 integration constants? So we have to apply the boundary conditions. So let's look at the deflected shape here. So this is the deflected shape, and between A to C I'm sketching the deflected shape by this red color. So the red color will represent that y1, and between C to B I'm sketching the deflected shape by that green color, and that is this y2. So first boundary condition is easy. At A there is restraint in the y direction, so ya is 0. Similarly at B there is restraint in the y direction, so yb is 0. So what you can say is y1 of x is equal to 0 is 0, and here the deflected curve is y2, so y2 of x is equal to L is 0. So we have those two boundary conditions. Okay, so we can apply that here. Okay, so we have y is 0, that is y1 of x is equal to 0 is, so if you substitute it here, so y1 of x is equal to 0, we are having only c2. So the c2 is equal to 0. Similarly, y2 of x is equal to L is 0, so we substitute minus PL cube by 24 plus PL into L square by 8 plus C3L plus C4. So this entire term is 0. So we have got two equations and we need two more equations. So the next two more equations, how will we get? So if you look at this curve is having continuity at C, both displacement continuity and slope continuity. That means the deflection just to the left of C and the deflection to the right of C, there is no jump, there is no breaking of material taking place at C. So we can say y1 of C is equal to y2 of C. Okay, so that is the first continuity condition. Second continuity condition is the slope just to the left of C is same as slope just to the right of C. So dy by dx at x just lying to the left of C is equal to dy by dx at x lying to the point just to the right of C. Okay, so that is a second continuity condition. That means you can say theta 1 of C is equal to theta 2 of C, or you can write it like this: dy1 by dx at x is equal to L by 4 is same as dy2 by dx at x is equal to L by 4. So the slope of this red color line at that point is same as slope of this green color line at that point. So that is what is the continuity here. Both the continuity of both the displacement and the slope is preserved at point C. So we'll get two conditions there, and with those two conditions we can find our C3, C4, and we can get those two equations and solve for those unknowns. So let's apply the displacement continuity at C. So y1 of C is y2 of C. So y1 at x is equal to L by 4 is equal to y2 at x is equal to L by 4. So here we can substitute this equation y1 at x is equal to L by 4. So we'll get L by 4 cube and C1 L by 4 and C2 is 0. And here also we'll have y2 L by 2 L by 4 cube L by 4 square plus C3 L by 4 plus C4. So that equation we have. And similarly the first derivative is continuous. So we can look at the first derivative here. So 3px square by 8 plus C1. So L by 4 square plus C1. And here dy2 by dx is px square by 8 plus plx by 4 plus C3. So again we put L by 4 square, L by 4 there, x is equal to L by 4, and we get the fourth equation. Okay, so we have totally four equations. Actually C2 is 0, so yeah, we have now three unknowns and three equations are there. We can solve for those three constants, C1, C2 and C3. So what we are getting after doing the solution, we are getting these values. So C1 minus 7 PL square by 8 and C2 is 0, and C3 is minus 11 PL square by 128, C4 is PL cube by 384. So I didn't solve it, I got it from the textbook. So if you want to do, you can check, you can solve it and check by yourself. Okay, so with this, by applying those four conditions, we are getting those four integration constants. So we can now know the complete deflected shape. We can know the function y1 of x and y2 of x. So if you want to find what is the deflection at C, we can substitute y1 of x is equal to L by 4 and get the deflection at C. If you want to know what is the slope at C, or the slope at C, we just substitute dy1 by dx at x is equal to L by 4. So that we are doing it. So we are calculating theta 1 of C and we are calculating y1 of C, and we are getting some values. So 3 PLK by 256 here and PL square by 352. Okay, so again y is negative and theta also is negative here because yeah, the slope is negative and the deflection is below the x-axis, so it is a negative value. So
sir,
yeah.
So why we choose the point C for continuity condition?
The point P is the application of the load. What is happening here at point P, between A to this point P or point C, there is one bending moment, m1 of x, and from C to B there is another bending moment, m2 of x. So between A to C there is one deflected curve y1. If you solve, so that is what we have. Ei d square y1 by dx square is 3p m1 of x. So we have one deflected shape here, and second deflected shape is y2 of x between these 2 points. Then at that location, we know that the beam will not separate. It is continuous. So we have both the displacement continuity and the rotation continuity there. So just this is just the point of application of load P. So that is the point C.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, this example is done. So we'll go to the next application. Yeah. Okay. So in this example, not example, we'll just discuss how to find that deflected shape when the beam is subjected to a continuous distributed load. Okay, so the beam is subjected to a distributed load, and there are no intermediate point loads. We are having only a distributed load acting over the entire beam. So in that scenario, how to modify that differential equation, and we can get more insight by looking at that differential equation one more time. So we have the d square y by dx square is m of x by ei. Okay, so we can sketch that small segment which is subjected to the distributed load W, and on the left face we have shear force V in the according to the convention, V is positive upward and M in the anti-clockwise, M in the clockwise is positive, and on the right surface V plus dV is positive and M plus del M in the anti-clockwise is positive. So for this system we have already done the analysis, and what we found was the change in the shear force delta V is equal to minus W delta X, and that means the dV by dx is minus W. So we have done this. And another thing we have done is the change in the bending moment is V times delta X. Okay, so our dm by dx, slope of the bending moment, is V of X. So these two things we know. With this information, we'll look at this equation and find some more insight. So d square over dx square is m of x by a. So what we'll do, we'll differentiate this term. Previously we were doing the integration. This time we'll differentiate it. Okay. So if we differentiate it one more time, we'll get d cube y by dx cube. So on the right hand side, we are differentiating m. So we'll get dm by dx. So what is dm by dx? That is V of x. That is a shear force. So we have 1 by E V of x. And what we'll do, we'll differentiate it one more time. So instead of d cube y by dx cube, we'll get d4 by dx power 4. So we'll differentiate V again one more time. So dV by dx. So what is dV by dx? It is minus W. That is a distributed load acting at that in between the two segments. So we have minus W of x by E. So we now treat EI to be pressure rigidity to be constant. So we can send that EI constant value to the left hand side. So we have this equation EI d power 4 y by dx power 4 is minus W of x. So this is the differential equation, fourth order differential equation relating the deflection with the distributed load W. Okay. So if you are being given a beam subjected to a distributed load and there are no point loads acting in between, so we can apply directly this differential equation. And what we can do, we can integrate it 4 times and get the y value. So how to? So when you do the integration each time, let's look at what happens. So if you integrate it once, so you get EI d cube y by dx cube. And what is that value? EI d cube y by dx cube, it is V of x. So we have done that d cube y by dx cube is 1 by EI V of x. So EI d cube y by dx cube is V of x. Okay, so that is V of x, and that will be equal to integral minus W of x dx plus C1. Now we can integrate it one more time. We get EI d square y by dx square. We already know this is m of x, and here we have to integrate it one more time, and there is C1x plus C2. So we are getting those two terms. First we will get C1 term, first integration constant. After the next integration, we will get the C2 term, second integration constant. So what we will integrate it one more time. So we are getting slope EI dy by dx, which is EI theta of x, and we are integrating this entire term again one more time. And we have here x dx, which is x square by 2, and C2 will be C2x C2 dx will be C2x, and we have the third integration constant C3. So finally, we'll do the fourth integration for the fourth time. We'll get the deflected shape ei y of x, and x square dx will be x cubed by 3. So 1 by 3 into 1 by 2, 1 by 6, and x dx is x square by 2, and C3x plus C4. So in this equation, there are four integration constants: C1, C2, C3, C4, and W of x is given, that is applied distributed load. So we have to find how to find these four integration constants. So you can look at this some examples here. So here we have a cantilever beam, and it is subjected to the distributed load. So what is happening at A? There is a restraint in the x and y direction and also rotation. That means YA is 0 and theta A rotation is 0. And two more equations we need to get. So at B, what is happening is that the shear force is 0, bending moment is 0. So that is the second, there are two more equations we can get from the relation. VB is 0 and MB is 0. So VB is 0 means the third derivative, EA d cube y by dx cube at x is equal to L is 0. And MB is 0 means EA d square y by dx square at x is equal to L. That is M of x is equal to L is 0. So using those four equations, we can get this, we can find those four integration constants. So this is regarding the cantilever beam. Suppose you have a simply supported beam. So again, two boundary conditions will be that YA is 0, YB is 0. And the remaining two boundary conditions will be force boundary conditions. So I think the bending moment, the MA is 0 and ME is 0. At point A, bending moment is 0, and point B, bending moment is 0. So with that, we can get those remaining two equations. So we can solve a simple, we can solve this simply supported beam one more time and see how to apply that equation. So this is a simply supported beam subjected to a distributed load. So this distributed load happens to be uniform. It is not a function of x, it is a constant W. Okay, so we have that fourth order differential equation, EA d power 4y by dx power 4 is minus W. So we'll integrate it one time. So we have EA d cube y by dx cube, which is shear force V of x, is minus integral dx is x, and we have the first integration term C1. Then now we integrate it one more time. EA d square y by dx square is M of x, and we have x dx is x square by 2, C1x and C2. So two integration constants have come. Now before going further, we'll apply our boundary conditions and find our C1 and C2. We don't want to carry C1 and C2 to the final integration. So we'll find the C1, C2 here itself. So yeah, so what we'll do, we have to apply the boundary conditions. So we already know M at A and M at B is 0. So MA, which is EA d square by dx square at x is equal to 0 is 0, and MB, which is EA d square by dx square at x is equal to L is 0. So first boundary condition we will apply M of 0. So we'll get C2 is 0, and M of L, which is minus WL square by 2 plus C1L, and C2 is 0. So that entire term is 0. So we will get C1 is WL by 2. So we can rewrite this term EA d square by dx square by substituting C1 value here. So we'll have minus WL square by 2 plus WL by 2 x. Now what we will do, we will integrate it one more time, and we'll integrate it twice. So when integrate it first time, we have EA dy by dx, and minus x square dx will be x cube by 3, so x cube by 6. X dx is x square by 2, so it will be 1 by 4, and we have the third C3 constant coming. And we integrate it one more time, so EA y and x power 4 by 4. So we have x power 4 by 24, w x square dx, x cube by 3, so it will be 12, C3x plus C4. So we want to find the C3 and C4. We know YA is 0, YB is 0. YA means y of x is equal to 0, which is the first three terms will go to 0. We will get C4, so C4 is 0. And YB at x is equal to L, we substitute x is equal to L here. So WL power 4 by 24, WL power 4 by 12 plus C3L. So C3 is again minus WL power 4 L cube by 24. So this part we have done. So we get the expression for y, and then we can find the maximum value 5 WL power 4 384 here. Okay, so in this problem we have directly started from the fourth order differential, directly started here. EA d power 4 by dx power 4 is minus W. We are not determining the bending moment or shear force anywhere in between. We already know the bending moment at A and B are 0. The boundary condition terms we already know. So this is the way to solve this distributed load. Suppose if the distributed load is acting only over certain distance, what will happen? So again, part of the load will have one equation, part of the load there will be another equation. So again, there will be two deflection curves, and we have to apply the continuity condition at the boundary. I mean, at the edge, at the intersection. Okay, so yeah, we have 8 constants, and it will be big mess. Okay, so this application of the differential equation by directly using the distributed load.
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir.
Yeah.
There are always bending moment 0 at a boundary point.
No, only for that specific case. You have to
Which
draw
case?
the free body diagram there and see.
Okay.
At the edge. I think we have done that, right? We cut a section just to the right of this A and draw the bending moment, or you can draw the bending moment for this. It is 0 at A and B, right?